Board of Education, you will start with the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We will start with JD.
Awesome. Good to be back. So I know on the agenda it said all district facilities, and I'm happy to answer any questions, but I was told Treasure Mountain, so I'll start there. Originally, we had targeted the demolition for the 15th, but we had some training. In fact, they're driving a Humvee through the front of it right now, so there's some stuff going on over there right now. So right now we are targeting the 22nd Monday. So there's a 10-day notice that had to be filed for the demolition of DQ. That was done on the 8th. We're not sure it's exactly when we're gonna get that, but they said they would mobilize the day after they got that. So we're targeting the 22nd. Most of the utilities are off over there. The last one really is the power, and we've just kind of left that on with all the things that are kind of going on over there, but that'll get shut off and then that will get demoed. We're still on schedule for the turf, middle of October. So yeah, if you've been over there, you can kind of see out the windows here, you can see them taking shape, you can see the perimeter fencing going in, the walls, and all this big pile of stuff you see here is the final base before the turf goes down. So there's a concrete wall that kind of goes around all that the turf is anchored to, and they're pouring that now, starting on the baseball field. So that's on schedule. The idea with Treasure Mountain, I don't know if everybody knew this, was to demo everything down to the slab. There's no basement there, but depending on weather, we may leave the slab over the winter. If the weather's good, we would take the slab out, but we don't want to deal with the contamination, the mud, all the things going on with the soil, so why that's wet. So you'll see it down, but you may see just the concrete there. And really, that's it for over there. So like I said, we're on schedule. I think everything's looking pretty good. Like I said, if you look out there, you can see all that starting to take shape. And I'm guessing that based on the schedule that I've seen, we're probably about 3 weeks into the demo. So with that demo will also be utility demo. So you'll start to see the gas line coming out down the lane. You'll start to see the water coming out. You'll see a few of the utilities being demoed as well. So it's kind of not just the building, but everything around the building as well. So, and that's really kind of the update on Treasure. I'll tell you a little bit briefly about the high school. Trying to get a schedule put together for the finish of the photo lab and video lab. We're close, I can tell you that. There have been some last minute changes over there with the flooring. That's taken a little bit more time. There is some electrical stuff with the lights in those labs that has to be done. But turnover for one of them could probably be as early as the end of this week. That would be the video lab. They'd be short a few things, but and then the photo lab would follow after that. I don't know if you've been in there, it's a great space, but and then there's a lot of finished stuff, countertops, some other stuff, and so I'm trying to get a firm schedule that can be held to so that we know what we're targeting to be done there. Ecker, there's a couple light poles, a few things with the HVAC commissioning and balancing, but for the most part, that's all done. There's some gates for the generator enclosure, the mechanical yard. That's all that's kind of left over there. The other ones up and going. I hear good things. So I haven't heard anything bad yet, at least on the elementary, so. So I feel good about that, but, other than that, if you got any questions, I'm happy to answer them if I can, so.
So when around baseball and softball field gonna be available for use?
So they would be ready once the turf's down, which would be the middle of October, but we're gonna have to sort out how they're gonna access them, right? Because this is really kind of an off-limit site. You really have to be escorted in there. One thing that, this is built on fill. I don't know if you've noticed that. So most of the cap's been penetrated through the utilities, right? There's a deep sewer line you can kind of see if you look out there going through the middle of it and stuff like that. But the rest of it's fill, so your exposure's down, right? Which would limit, you should be able to be out there, but it's how did they get out there, right? Because you'll have the demo going, that'll be off limits. You can't park and walk through there. We talked about doing the trail right now, so that's maybe accessible probably from here. You can walk onto there and get onto there, and so we know that's coming, we know that there's, everything's just to get on there, and so we're working on a, an access plan for that, so.
Weather wise, I know it's been beautiful, but what happens when it turns like a dime and it gets really cold, there's the snow and you're not done?
Well, the turf, I believe, will be out of the weather, right? I mean, I think we can weather a couple storms and that should be fine. It's when you get into the end of October, right? Halloween time is when you really start to worry about it, so. And that's, I think what you'll see then is the turf will be done, the fencing will be up and that kind of stuff. You'll start to see them really go on the buildings then. The footing should be done. And one thing that's happened over there is with the excavation of the team rooms and the dugouts and everything, we've hit a layer of peat, which has been developed from all the organics that were buried over there. We pulled out a bunch of railroad ties, a bunch of, I mean, just all kinds of stuff that's decomposed. And that was not originally, when we did all of our bore holes to test the soils and stuff, we hit some of it, but not to the extent we're hitting it now. And so you'll start to see a pile of it behind Treasure Mountain that we're storing right there right now until we get it all excavated, because now we have to come up with a new soils management plan to just deal with the peat. But what we have tested so far has had no, we hit groundwater with the sewer, it tested clean, so we've been able to, to get rid of that without having to haul it off, which would have been a major ordeal to pump all that into tanks and haul it off. And so, and then the peat has tested clean as well. And so we've been really good as far as our contamination testing going. And so that's a positive, but we still have to deal with it. And so you'll see a little bit of that, but. So.
I'm sorry, where's the peak?
So the peat's under the ground, and so this. But no, it was originally where the box for the announcers and everything was to go, is we had a boardlog there and it showed peat down 6 feet or so. But I mean, you're talking about an 8-inch hole in a whole big piece of property, right? And as we started to dig out the dugouts and the team rooms and everything, we're kidding it as well. And so we weren't expecting that. And really it's not, the bigger issue is if it's contaminated, and which so far it hasn't been, but we've still got to test it all, but we still have to excavate it all out. And you can't build on it, which means we have to over excavate it and then put in structural fill and bring it back up. And so we weren't anticipating that, but it really hasn't slowed things down too much. It's just that we can't haul it off site now. We have to protect it and cover it. And so you'll see the pile, they started building the pile actually today behind Treasure, where the original pile of contaminated soil was. So that's where we're gonna store it from.
Jenny, can you speak to safety measures, precautions that would be in place as Treasure Mountain is demoed, just for
Yes, so
public education?
we have a perimeter that we've established that has a line to it, and I can distribute you some maps if you'd like, so that you can get them out to everybody to see. That'll be demarcated off with fencing, some K-rail and everything else. We're trying to leave as much parking as we can, right? And the contractor's aware of your school being in and everything else. Now, why they're demoing that, that'll be all watered, right? So there's 2 hydrants on the end there. They'll probably have water cannons there going, that'll keep all the dust down and everything else. They have, really the 10-day notice is an air quality notice. That's who it's filed with. It's through DEQ, but it goes to the Department of Air Quality. They're the ones who make sure that that's taken care of. And part of that is we're air monitoring every day anyways, so we have air monitoring going, and so those reports are available, obviously, if anyone wants to see it, but we haven't had anything that's been, it's tested out of the range or anything, but, so that'll be in place, and so, and then we have designated routes for the trucks, right? They'll probably be using this back lane instead of the light, even though it's more convenient on the light at Comstock, but right now, because of just how much stuff's going on, we'll probably be using that. So there's kind of a plan in place, and then obviously it's not set in stone. If something needs to change and there's issues, then we can pivot and change those. So, but
And you said everything to this point is tested clean
for the most part, yes.
for the most part?
Yes, we've had a couple that have tested, but they've been very low limits, right? Where it doesn't fall into that category of contaminated. where it has to be hauled off to a special facility, it's been below that, so.
Okay, so everything is tested as we go?
Yes, everything is tested.
And if something tests as contaminated, what is the plan at that point?
So the plan, the way that so we have an environmental monitor there that's every day, right? And they're the ones taking all the samples as we go. But the way that the DEQ has treated the site and the way that the soils management plan was written is they treat everything, and I'm gonna mess this word up because they say it all the time, but it's homozygous, right? So it's all the same, so that they don't have, and it's done that way so that you don't come over here and say, well, this is all clean over here and this is really dirty over here, right? They want it to be treated all the same, right? And so they haven't really set a limit for that yet. They just have said it's all gonna be treated the same. And so we just keep taking tests on everything that we excavate. We take tests on the import that we bring in to make sure that it's not contaminated, right? And so if anything ever reaches a level that is beyond what they decide that is gonna be that homozygous area, then they would say, hey, you gotta do something with this. But the plan, the soils management plan was always to bury the tailings, right? So anything that was contaminated stays on site. Our plan was never to haul it off. It's to use in all the landscaping and the mounding and everything else. So that's why the peat has caused us problems, is because now we gotta do something with the peat. And we've already planned for the extra material that was contaminated to be kept on site and used in the landscaping and all the elevation work around there, grading work, but we didn't plan on the peat. So
So if we find it contaminated, it's used in landscaping and then it's capped?
it's kept, right, yeah, obviously, and you've seen this, I mean, I don't know if you've been over here, but they had a big machine here. When they stripped all the soil off and the grass off, they wanted that topsoil. And so they lift all that up, put it in the machine that has brushes like you see in a car wash, and it scrapes all of the grass off. It makes a lot of dust, but you can start to see the topsoil that we're getting off of that as well. And so it's a reuse of the topsoil again too, so that we don't want to really have to haul anything off if we don't have to. We'd like to keep it all here, so that was the plan all along. So.
And the peat's just a problem, not because it's contaminated, but because you can't build.
It has no structural bearing capacity, so it hurts us with the buildings, and it really doesn't have any value as far as topsoil goes, or as far as any of that stuff goes, because it's organic, right? So it'll continue to decompose over time. And I was just over there today doing the asbestos survey on the building and dealing with the peat, but we're gonna come up with a new soils management plan for the peat specifically. And then that eventually will probably get all hauled off, so. But any high tests, obviously, that gets reported back to DEQ and then they look at that. But there's a report that goes out every week from the environmental guys and all of that stuff. And so it really has been pretty smooth sailing, I would say, so far, so.
Knock on some wood.
Knock on some wood. We get a little bit of dust, but again, we're air monitoring every day, and a lot of that dust is just on the site dust, but most of these fields were all built up, like I said, so it's all imported fill that's you're seeing.
There's a great view from my office.
Yeah, I knew Lynn's stuff. Yeah, I see her poke through the blinds. It's kind of hard to keep all that wet, so you'll have a little dust, but again, it's all hurts.
Any other questions?
Yeah.
Thanks, Cindy.
Thanks, Jim. Thank you.
Well, we should have a drum roll.
That's your
Carolina.
Front entourage. One of my former students' parents was, I knew she was gonna be here. We planned it, right? Yeah. I'm just here to share, my excitement for the position that I've been honored, that's been bestowed upon me, for just a short time now. But part of, being the 2026 Utah Teacher of the Year is, to realize that it's a year of service. And my goal with the year of service is to recognize educators, teacher leaders in our district first. And then beyond the state, and to represent the district in that way, in a positive way. I quoted him in a recent article, the 2021 winner, John Arthur, said, and rightfully so, that there's a thirst for recognition within the profession, a thirst for acknowledgement. So my mission is to make sure that they're acknowledged and they're appreciated. And I would also like to bring in members of the Utah State Board and members of the legislature and invite them to join me whenever possible, if they can join me, to recognize teachers and their leadership and all the hard work that they put in every single day. So, but it was an honor. It was exciting.
It was.
Lindsay knocked some things off the table that night.
She had been telling us, they had known for a month leading up.
We didn't, but the
committee
committee
had
knew.
known. It's just like, I just want you to know, don't have any expectation, I'm not gonna win, like.
Yeah, it was tough competition.
The other
It was very
nominees
tough
are
competition.
fabulous, they're doing far more than I am, so she had already talked herself out of it.
I mean, to get there, we crossed a burning semi truck.
Yes.
Yeah, so I said, you know, if you want to stay home, you can stay home. But she came, she made her way through that traffic, and so did Caleb and Caleb's wife and other people from the district, so it was nice. But it was quite an honor, and I'm really excited to get started, and is Ingrid here?
She is.
Hi, Ingrid. I'm reaching out to you because I'd like some partnership with you and how I can best recognize the teacher leaders in the district.
Let's do that.
Okay. We'll be tough. I'll be tough. Did you have any questions for me or?
Joanna, I'd love for you to give our board a peek into your classroom
Okay.
and how AP government has evolved since you have taken the reins of the program, as well as your new class of shared criminal law.
Yeah, so that was part of the selection process. You have an opening statement that you deliver before the interview. And my opening statement, I had to share how I teach with passion and inspire future generations. And I think for my class, we don't shy away from current events. We talk about current events and we apply them to course content. So everything we talk about is connected to a standard. It's connected to something that's required. But the course itself is very discussion based. It's team based, and you're held accountable if you're absent. If you're, I don't allow tardies. If you're late, and your team depends on you so that you can talk about these hard topics because they're hard. We just talked about what happened in Utah last Wednesday. And we talked about the implication, not just the assassination, but we also talked about the aftermath of that, what that looks like when people are posting social media posts and whether or not that's a First Amendment infringement. So that led to some pretty interesting conversations today. So I think what makes the class unique is not just the team collaboration and the professional accountability where the team members and I hold every student accountable, but it's also the application of what's happening around them, what they're seeing in social media, what they're seeing on YouTube, the news, to the content, because every day something's happening and it's pretty exciting. But before we do all of that, before we have conversations, they learn how to be professional and debate and talk to people about hard things. When I had my opening statement at my interview, and one of them might have been Seth, so I'm not sure. I started and I ended with testimonials from students. And the very first testimonial was something to the effect of, after this class, I now know how to talk to people who I disagree with, without arguing, without screaming at each other, without violence. And then the last quote that I ended with, which I knew it was going to be like a little pick, was Mrs. A's class has restored my faith in democracy. And I think when our kids are just surrounded with negativity, just ugliness every day, whether it's self-inflicted or not. And I want my room to be a place where they can, move between the weeds and say, what's real, what's not, what do I have control over, what do I not have control over? And at the end of the day, what we have in common is our humanity and our Constitution. And that Constitution works for them. So I want them to realize that and be able to interact with all around those two things. Did I hit it?
Yes, thank you. I'll see you later. I walked into her classroom today and the kids were having to do a free write on paper and pencil.
Yeah.
You should have seen their response.
Well, it was about Guantanamo Bay and the constitutionality of the detention there, you know, but after September 11th, there were several executive orders that came forward. And one of them was that the Article 3 of the Geneva Convention didn't apply to detainees. So they had to analyze, well, is that constitutional? You know, because the argument from our administration was, well, they're terrorists. But, you know, the students were like, but everything in the Constitution applies to whether you're a citizen or not, whoever you are. And then the debate was, is it US soil or is it not US soil? So they had 15 minutes and we front loaded and they had research, but they had to respond to that in a rough draft and there was some discomfort.
Yeah.
And I think discomfort's good. It gets you to think outside the box and then they'll get some feedback and some peer feedback and then they'll revise. So it's not always comfortable, but it's productive and they're engaged. There's not I don't think there's a single class period where I'm standing up in front of the class for very long. They're engaging with each other. So I think that's important. And then the more and more you walk through our building, you will see that it is less and less teacher centered and more student centered. Every teacher in our building strives for that. So
What was your AP pass rate?
88%, I had 32 fives, but there was
How many fives?
32. There were an AP US history, got 96.4% pass rate. AP World was 90%. Social studies kicked by. I'm sorry for the math and science and English and everything else. But I do know that social studies, I know AP Psych was 92%. So social studies really knocked it out of the park this time. We definitely contributed to that overall.
I agree.
Yeah, so.
And that was AP,
Government.
AP US government, and my course is now concurrent enrollment as well, so the kids can double dip, which is nice.
So they can get 3 college credits through UDU. And or
Yeah,
college credit for their AP score.
yeah,
and how do your obligations with being teacher of the year?
it's gonna be, yeah, it's a balance.
Where actually.
Yeah, it just started, so it will definitely be a balance. There are some keynote speaking engagements and conferences I have to go to. And I think the expectation is to visit schools throughout the state, so it's gonna be a balancing act for sure. My students are my priority. So they will always be my first priority, but there will be some balancing this year, but I'll figure it out. Yeah.
I have no doubt.
Yeah. Any question? Thanks for inviting me.
You sold me on your cost, I wish I could tell you.
Yeah. Well, I will say you're invited to come. I mean, just pop in and be part of the conversation or observe the conversation. The more I think for our community and our state and our country, the more people see what teachers and students do together, the better. So you can come anytime.
I pop into her
I'll take you up.
class quite frequently and it's
Yeah.
fascinating that we can have kids who share very different perspectives. And they're modeling for us as adults how we should disagree and still be kind and respectful and polite.
Yeah, they're very respectful.
That last.
And they're
spring you
in
talked about the
heterogeneous groupings, so I don't put them with their friends. And it changes every quarter, the CD. So it's intentional. So,
I just wanna thank you because it's very difficult to learn how to have difficult conversations.
Oh, yeah.
And if you can learn them when they're younger, they become very successful adults.
more productive and,
Yes.
yeah, and civically engaged, because we want them to vote.
Mhm.
We want them to be informed. So, yeah, it's an honor. It's quite an honor. Yeah,
Thank you.
thank
Thanks,
you.
Joanna.
Thank you.
Thanks. I'm not gonna stay for the rest of the meeting, no.
No?
Not calling roll later. You stay here. The rest of you.
Bye.
Okay, well, actually, we have somebody grabbing bread.
Hi, everyone. I'm so excited to work with Joanna. I don't know what that's gonna look like, but I'm thrilled that she wants to.
You two amazing humans will figure it out.
Yes. So I think I know all of you, but for those who don't know me, I'm Ingrid Whitley. I'm the President and CEO of Park City Education Foundation. And then just wanted to give a little background on who we are so that you know. So we're a 501c3 nonprofit. We're overseen by an independent board of directors, and most of our board members are parents. We also have educators and community members as well. We provide funding for programs and initiatives that support our teachers and our students in the district. And this year, we're funding about $1.8 million in awards and grants to the district. And just a few things that we fund. So we do both supplemental funding and also full funding for programs. Some of the supplemental funding for programs go to things like preschool and after school, PC CAPS, you might have heard of PBIS, Positive Behavior Intervention Systems. We provide some supplemental funding for that. Latinos in Action, many more. We fund over 100 programs, so I won't list all of them. And then we also fully fund things like elementary visual arts, the RC League at all the elementary schools, Bright Futures, the Excellent Educator Awards, which Joanna won last year, and many more. And then throughout the year, we fund what we call express classroom grants, and that's for teachers to request up to $2,000 for project they want to do in their classroom that's an unexpected need. And we also have kind of classroom grants on an annual basis that teachers apply for and then we fund. And we've worked really closely with PCSD since our founding in 1986, through many different school boards and superintendents and leaders. And we've navigated this partnership with obviously a lot of conversation and working together and memorandum of understanding. So that's what I'm here to talk with you all about tonight. So our current MOU that's in place was adopted back in June of 2022, and that's guided our work since that document was signed. It has a clause in there that it's meant to be reviewed and revised or renewed every 2 years, essentially, in odd calendar years. So here we are in 2025. That's why we're talking about this. So it was renewed automatically in December of 2023. So it's been in place for essentially 4 years. That was prior to my coming on and prior to Lindsay being superintendent. And so we have new leadership at PCSD, we have new leadership at PCF, and we thought it was a good time to just review the terms outlined in the MOU and to make updates and revisions to make sure that it reflects how we currently operate together and our mutual roles and responsibilities. So Lindsay, Randy, Craig, and I, and a couple of our board members met back in the spring just to start reviewing and discussing potential edits. I worked with a few of my board members as well throughout the revision process. And so we don't have a final draft yet, but we have the draft that I shared with you in the board docs and wanted to share kind of where we are. I did share a clean version, so without red lines, but I also have a redlined version. So if you want to see kind of what we had and what edits we're making, that might be easier to look at too. And then I want to underscore that this is a draft. So my board has not even seen this version yet. We're working with a small committee. But I want to also underscore that because we have time to make further edits and revisions to this version. And just kind of an overview of what it does. So it outlines PCSD's responsibilities to PCEF, PCS responsibilities to PCSD, some shared understanding regarding employment and fiscal responsibilities, expected communications, confidentiality, access to information, and dispute resolution. So those are the big categories that are covered in this MOU. And just from a national perspective, I was at a conference in March, the National Association of Education Foundations, and one of the sessions underscored the importance of having an MOU with your district. And like, great, we have one. We want to make sure it covers kind of everything that we need it to, and then we don't want things in there that we don't actually practice anymore, right? So that's really the point of making any edits or changes, clarifying language, making sure it reflects our current practices. I will pause there. Happy to answer any questions. And also, if you want me to talk about any specific sections, I'm happy to do that too.
So the goal was to have Ingrid come present if we need to make edits offline and then come back next month, then formally make a decision at our October board meeting.
Yeah, and our goal is to have this, finalized and signed before the end of the year. I'm going on maternity leave in December, so ideally before then, that'd be great. But no pressure if we need some time to make revisions
I think we
too.
can make that.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a very reasonable time.
Yeah. Great. Any questions I could answer? No.
No questions, but I mean, when you're close to the document, I'd love to see the red line version, see the changes.
Yes. You bet. I can share that. I don't know how to.
If you want to send it to me,
Yeah.
then I can share the quote board.
All right. Well, thank you all.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Carolyn. It's all you.
All right. Hello, everybody. I'm here to talk about open enrollment. Just giving a brief
What about
overview.
favorite subjects?
Yes.
So this first slide, just a reminder of the timeline. You all approved open enrollment in the K-5 on June 17th. We immediately started releasing information. There was a social media and different articles. And then on June 23rd at 8 AM it opened. We did our first review on June 30th, and then we meet every Monday since then to review any applications.
Are you still getting it?
Yeah. So here's just some numbers. So we have a total of 195 open enrollment students in the district. That is before this special period, and this is total student, teacher, kids, et cetera. So when we first started, we had 30 in the queue. So that was before that, what was it, June 23rd open date. And 15 of them were secondary, 15 were elementary. And then since the special period of time, we've had 91 applications. They declined after approval, 10 people declined. We denied 16 of them, so we have a total of 65 in the elementary.
And a variety of reasons for declining, not understanding that we don't provide transportation if they live out of boundary. There was some confusion, even though it's clearly stated on the website that we did not provide transportation, but some outside of our boundary were operating under the impression we did.
So this breaks it down by school of that 195. So you can visually see where the students are in those 195.
The secondary there, are those just legacy from when we were open before?
Or correct, or a teacher's.
Teacher.
And then the next slide, this is how many, where we approve them at each elementary. 17 at Jeremy, 26 at Nicole, 13 at Farley's, and 9 at Trust.
This wasn't the data point you were asked to
That's okay.
include, so if you don't know,
That's okay.
I'm not trying to put you on the spot.
That's okay.
But, how many, well, obviously, everybody in Poland is Spanish.
Correct.
How many of these other kids do you know?
I would say less than 5.
Okay.
Where
Sure.
it went into Spanish or French.
French, yes.
Was it just because there wasn't room, because they didn't want to?
Because they didn't have that, they're starting in 4th or 5th grade.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, they
And it might be more like 5 to 10, because we did have some first graders that did go in.
Okay, just.
I mean, there was one family that relocated from out of state, they were in a French immersion school, so that was an easy
Right.
placement. They come in beyond certain grade levels and they work with any ballers to see where their language proficiency is for the target language.
And these numbers in each school, I know we had different numbers open in each school.
Yes.
Does this proportionally match that, or is this more a feature of where people wanted to go?
No, I think it definitely meets it, and Poland has so many, and you'll see, if I show you the next slide, this is how many spaces are still available. And this is strictly based on numbers, 23 in first grade through 5th, in each class, and then 20 at kindergarten. So this is strictly based on numbers. You can see that Poland still has a lot of room, right? They have 4 sections of every grade, and their numbers are quite low, so.
So this is after
These are-
students that already enrolled, do we still have this much?
remaining seats.
Yes, we could. And I didn't count, like, in third, fourth, or fifth, I did not count, DLR in these numbers. So these are strictly numbers in the other three elementaries that are mostly traditional or STEM, Jared.
And are there so many spaces at McLaurin because of the district that
Whole
it schools from?
Mhm.
And
Because it's a
Because
whole
we don't
school
have that
DLI.
many, yeah.
Because they take students no matter what grade. Where in our other schools for DLI, we just go to
Right.
take the grades.
I think proximity to 40 and South Summit. And then like Carolyn was saying, their whole school Spanish
Right.
versus we have a traditional track and a DLI track at our other three elementary schools.
We're hoping to keep the word getting out and, having Fulton keep pushing it, because we, are anxious. I mean, we had 3 on Monday, and the numbers are small, but we're still getting them.
I'd love to keep monitoring this and see how that changes and, understand what we can do to fill some of those seats that we've found.
Yeah, it'd be incredible.
What is the enrollment at McPoland, do you know?
Not off the top of my head, but I wanna say 3.
I can look back real quick.
You got it?
Yeah, but
Okay. I was going into it as well.
Holds how many, 500 students? Filled it.
Yeah,
409.
thank you. Or not.
And then how is the preschool, at each of the elementary?
Yes, I did not pull those numbers. Amy Jenkins, you don't have those, do you?
Over just 200 students in preschool across the district.
How many, sir?
Over 200 across the school district. I do not know off the top of my head.
Distribution.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I could pull them up here as well. Okay, so.
That's right, that might help them pull in a year or two. Also, do all of these elementary schools have full capacity of their after-school program? Is that deferred some parents too? If they go after school?
Yes, and we just met in the executive leadership committee or a team and decided that we were gonna add some more weeks to get some of our students off the waiting list for after school. Because there's some of the schools, the numbers are pretty high. So I'm gonna have to start posting that.
So there's 44 at Colon, 12 pre-K 3, 32 pre-K 4. Trailside is 47, 19 3-year-olds, 28 4-year-olds. Somebody can do quick math while I'm.
I had just heard that some people wanted their kids to go to St. McCall or whatever, one of the elementaries, but there was no after-school care.
Yes.
And that
there is
there
a
is them
waiting
from
list.
sending them to the school because of that.
Yeah, our waiting list is fairly large, but we're gonna work on that, add more aides, so we can take that off the waiting list. I have those numbers here on my to-do list in there, but I can find quickly.
207. So 83 at Jeremy Match for, preschool, 40 3-year-olds, 43 4-year-olds.
I don't have those after school. I'm gonna say there was like 20-something on the waiting list at McDonald's.
So like Carolyn said, we met in executive leadership and we wanted to get those families off the wait list for aftercare, so we've been able to make that decision and move it forward for Todd.
Fill some of these as well.
Yeah, Todd had someone timely, but I'll work on getting those.
Is there before care and after care?
Before care is just at McDonald's.
Just that McPoland.
Yeah, when we started a few years ago, we did McPullen and Harley's, but we just didn't have any numbers at Harley's, so. We have to just. Any other questions on open enrollment?
Thank you.
Hey, just a quick calendar committee update. We met as a group yesterday for the first time. There's a parent from every school, as well as representation from every employee group, and really talking about what are our priorities for the 27 school year, trying to get that calendar set. The end goal is to have 3 years set. So some of the priorities that surfaced were never start school on a Monday again. And I couldn't agree more. So shifting that start date to either a Wednesday or Thursday. How do we embed more PD days for our teachers, with what we were asking them to do, new curriculum adoption, AI coming online, and really having them have more time with students or without students, so they can have professional learning without having to take a sub and write lesson plans. So that was another priority. Something else we talked about was February break. What is the sentiment among our community now? Do they value that week off? Or could we look at a modified version to where we're taking the Friday off before President's Day and maybe the Tuesday off, so families still have 5 days? And then we could get out earlier, maybe that Friday before Memorial Day. But helping our families understand there's give and take in a calendar, because we still have to meet the 180 days. The 990 hour rule has gone out the window. We still gotta meet that 180. We still need to have snow days built in. I don't think the state's gonna grant a waiver to Park City School District, for not having snow days built in, given where we live. So those were some things we talked about, as well as just, fall break, because of the Jewish holidays this year, we pushed fall break back. Next year, it will be back to the normal third week in October. We will continue to honor the Jewish holidays within our school calendar. Those were also priorities that were discussed. So our next task is to take those considerations. Lori has already done this and put it into a couple calendars, push that out to our community, as well as some questions about things like February break. Do you value that week off? Would you be okay if we shortened it so we could get out sooner? We've even talked about having 2 PD days before the first day of school. That is protected teacher time in their classrooms where they can get their classroom set up, because the one thing we always hear is there's never enough time. So giving them more time without scheduled PD on those days leading up to the first day of school. So that's where we're at, with the calendar committee. Another thing that I did plant the seed with the committee is reconsidering Friday early outs. Fridays afternoons specifically are not ideal for adult learning. I don't know about you all, but I'm not functioning at full capacity on Friday afternoon, and that time is really intended for adult learning. Recognizing that would be a shift for our families, so that's gonna be additional conversation and dialogue with the greater community. Do we go back to a Monday early out? Do we look at a late start for maybe a Monday morning? And we'd have to navigate what the logistics look like. Could we shift aftercare to before care to provide that child care for our families? So I just threw that out to the committee to get them thinking about it. One parent very candidly said, "Oh, I kind of have an adverse reaction to that," but then when you explain the purpose is adult learning, then I understand why you would want to move it off of Friday afternoon. Another consideration is we have to be mindful of high school athletics. Because where you put that may or may not impact if your high school athletic coaches can attend.
Well, I feel bad if I call something on Friday afternoon, like for anything work related. I'm really sorry.
Yes. And it may be a year of planning and saying this is coming, this is coming, this is coming, and we don't implement until 27, 28. But we continue to ask more of our teachers. We know math standards are gonna be adopted in a potential curriculum rollout. So the idea of professional learning is not going away, but we also wanna maximize the times that we do have with teachers. Questions on the calendar committee?
Clarification on the early hour, when you would just switch it to a different day, is that what you're saying?
Yes. Or look at a late start. Years ago, we had a Wednesday late start.
Even at the elementary level?
Elementary was not, so secondary was a late start, and elementary, I believe, was still on Fridays.
Yes, on Fridays historically.
Yes,
Is there any reason
Yeah.
we could?
So it's like-
So campus,
for families.
Yes.
If they have multiple
Right.
kids. Busing wasn't, yes, but there
Well,
was.
it's still depends on what, I mean, right?
There was a period of time where elementary was Friday, secondary was Wednesday, late start. I don't know if late start's better than early out. There's all considerations that it's greater than just a superintendent decision. It requires a lot of dialogue with our families as well as our employee groups. What's best for adult learning, but also considering our families who have, childcare concerns as well as athletics, and there's lots of things that factor into the decision. So it's a conversation that we have started. I brought it up with our PCEA representation, Jen Riggs and Kristen Hall on Friday, just again to plant that seed and get them thinking and talking with members.
Does it need to be a time each week, or can we build it in so that it's separate days on the calendar, still get the same opportunities?
Consistency is better, just in terms of routines and schedule, so we would love to keep it on the same day every week. We need to go 4 hours for it to be counted as a full school day, so that's why and you have to serve lunch, that's something we learned. So that's why high school goes 7:30 to 11:30, they get their 4 hours, they serve lunch, and then kids exit the buildings, but in an ideal world, we'd have the same day, same time every week. Because there's all these things that need to happen during a finite window of time. You need professional learning. You have MTSS meetings that come together. You have school leadership teams that come together. You have lesson prepping that's happening. There's a lot of work happening in our buildings during that 3-hour window.
I think that we probably need to express that more to parents. Because as a parent myself, when my kids had that, I had no idea why my middle school was going in late one day, and
Yeah,
elementary has always gotten out early, so that was just, oh, elementary gets out early on Friday, but it was never that time is used for our teachers.
yeah. What's the why behind this?
It's important to
decision?
let them know that as they're making these
Yeah.
decisions, that it's not just, we're doing it to inconvenience people.
Yeah. No, we are certainly not. Teachers to lesson prep and have a sub is far more difficult than to just show up and be there with your
Right.
kids. And even when they're out of the building participating in professional learning, all they're worried about is what level of instruction and are my kids okay and what's happening today and what kind of catch up am I gonna have to play tomorrow when I return to my classroom. And that's another reason why we're trying to embed more PD days up to what the state allows, so we can have 8 hours of dedicated professional learning. Whether that's district directed or school directed, or teachers are in working with their professional learning communities planning, for the school year.
Is it worth seeking direct community input on what half day would be best for them? I mean,
Yeah.
I'm very fortunate, I work from home, right, it doesn't really affect me. But I know I'm in the minority.
Yeah, no, we intend to send something out because I do wanna get a pulse on, is there a preference amongst working parents and just families in general? I understand Friday is more than ideal, cause you can go on a quick trip and your kids are done. At the very latest, Ecker's done at 1:40 on Fridays, and that makes for a long weekend, but in terms of learning for adults, it's less than ideal.
Have the teachers ever utilized or been interested in having more professional days at the start or end of the school year, the longer prep time at the start of the school year?
Yeah, so that's one of the considerations for, one of the draft calendars is 6 days before students return. The first 4 being district and school directed or some combination of. And then that Monday, Tuesday before students would return on Wednesday is protected time for them to do whatever they need to do to be ready for kids to show up on that Wednesday.
Is there 2 days in the calendar like there used to be for the
November 7th and March 20th are the days this school year for PD. And then we have snow days. If we don't take a snow day or need one, then you would see again a 4-day weekend for Memorial Day. So they'd be off the Friday through the Monday. School calendars are complex. I wish it was just throw some things into AI and generate a school calendar, but there's lots of considerations that need to come into play.
You can build a custom chat.
Yeah.
So the community is gonna be surveyed, are the teachers getting surveyed?
Yeah, it'll go internally and externally. Because we all have our own selfish wants and desires to meet our needs.
More kids with more than 180 days.
Someone did bring that up. They said, hey, have you ever considered year-round school? And there was a resounding no.
Had someone asked me about that recently, and she was an older person in the community, and I was like, there is zero
Yeah.
appetite for that.
And there was some conversation, do we start earlier? And I said, I don't know that our community would support that because it gets warmer much later in June. They want to maximize the warmer temperatures into the middle of August. It'd be great if we could start after Labor Day and before Memorial Day, but that's not realistic. Okay, so we will push that out, and then I told the group yesterday we'll reconvene once we've collected that data to make an informed decision, and then the calendar will get presented to this group, hopefully, if not next month, November. Board retreat recap, if you click on that document. So this group, as well as some of our executive leadership team members in conjunction with School Leadership Alliance, held a retreat on August 29th. And if you recall, we answered the question, why do we exist? And we came up with 3 potential statements. I refined those. I want to make sure this group is good with those 3 statements before we put them out to the greater community as well as our different employee groups to kind of get a reaction from them. Attempted to wordsmith and capture what we discussed. If you feel strongly about any of the words or the way in which it's formatted, we can certainly make changes.
Great.
We talked about having some defining characteristics. We talked about transparency and kindness. Are we gonna leave that off until you get the same work done with the staff?
Yeah, so I think we want to get the work done with the staff and then I mean, this is a living doc, it's fluid, we'll continue to refine it. So the 3 that we are talking about, so the first one, in partnership with our community, we empower every student to thrive with dignity, grow with purpose, and embrace opportunities for success in a dynamic world. Option 2, in collaboration with our community, we educate and empower every student to thrive with dignity, embrace growth and opportunity while preparing them with confidence for an ever-changing world. Together with our community, we prepare every learner for success by valuing personalized pathways, fostering growth, and strengthening our shared future. And I know there were some concerns about, do we include democracy? Is that too much of a triggering word for some individuals? But we want to be preparing our students so they can civically engage in a respectful and kind manner once they leave our system. So my recommendation is we put this out both internally and externally, but also leave sort of an open comment box for people to give feedback. If they feel like we've completely missed the mark, we're open to that feedback. We can come back to the table.
Sure, someone will tell us.
Yes. But I think the importance is this is a partnership with our families and the importance of us partnering with our families and our community.
Yep.
So we'll work on that and push that out. Couple of questions I just want to work through with this group. What are we seeking to accomplish as we evolve as a new team, as a district? For me, it's clarity and alignment around the 6 critical questions that we talked about. Why do we exist? How do we behave? What do we do? How will we succeed, what is most important right now, and then who does what. So those are the 6 critical questions we want to answer as we engage with this work in School Leadership Alliance. We want to increase capacity of individuals to effectively create clarity and alignment for teams through answering those questions. That not only applies to the board, but our principals and district leadership had the same training last week. They got a bite-sized portion, and we'll come back in a couple of weeks and continue that. And then what could steps to success look like? We want to gather input from key interest groups in forming a first draft of the answers to the 6 critical questions for our district. So we would do that this school year, informing our work for next school year. We convened on August 29th. Our administrators are doing this monthly. So instead of getting all of the 6 critical questions in a day, they're getting it in 90-minute increments each month. Executive leadership, we have 2 days that we're working, October 8th and December 3rd. Similar work. Teaching and learning and student services are coming together on October 15th and December 5th to do this work. And then I'd really like to push this out to our community families and students because they are the end user of the work that we're doing. And so we're talking about what that might look like and how do we engage our community families and students. So we are doing things alongside them and with them instead of to them, because they are our consumers.
And the School Leadership Alliance have a blueprint or suggestions for how.
Yeah, so they're starting to do some of this work in other school districts and they're learning what works and what doesn't. And so Lawrence, Amy, myself and his team will talk through, is that a late winter community forum and then an early spring? So there's 2 opportunities. And then what does that look like going forward? Alignment of board and district processes and procedures to these 6 critical questions. A recommendation would be for us to have an audit of our current processes and procedures and then reflect and refine how we might align them to better align with how we're responding to those 6 critical questions. Also identifying mutually agreed upon leading indicators to track work and adoption rate around the clarity and alignment. And also looking at the lagging indicators. How are we gauging impact and what's the results of the culture, not only here within our buildings, but in the greater Park City community? Yes, Meredith.
The audit, the recommended audit, the current processes, is that something you just conduct internally?
Yep. In conjunction with School Leadership Alliance, that may require them coming in and just having informal conversations with different employee groups. So my question to this body is, yes.
Do you think it's worth stating at the beginning, just because everyone has been on groups where we make a new vision statement, we make a new mission statement, we align our goals, to tell people at the beginning or at number 2, we are looking at why we as a school district exist. And number 2, what do we want to accomplish for the first time? We as a school district want community and student involvement in how we set goals, measure goals, and then redirect goals. Because that hasn't been done before. I think that key to let people know that the first time we're asking them to help set in culture.
Yeah. And what is their metric of success? Because for us as the professionals, we have metrics of success that we've set both as a school district as well as with the state. And the nation is set in some regard. But as a parent, you might have a different metric of success. And we're seeing that through some of the literacy community engagement that our literacy specialists participating in. One of the questions is to parents, what do you aspire for your child? What are your hopes and dreams? When your child leaves our system, what do you hope they've accomplished? And see what kind of responses we get from parents. And I imagine there would be some themes, but there might also be some outliers.
We talked a little bit about all of the numbers, stats we used to have on the website. Is the vision that comes back aligned with the metrics we're identifying?
Yes, yes. Are we doing what we're saying we're doing? And where are we at in that process? We've been really good about putting things on paper and put them in a folder and never really putting them into action, and we want to shift that behavior for sure. So for this group, what work do you see yourselves actively engaging in with our district as opposed to simply receiving progress reports on a set cadence? And these are reflection questions for you guys to kind of mull over. Are there any additional desired professional learning elements to help our effectiveness in supporting this work? For example, change management, strategic planning. As I mentioned previously, we're in year 3 of a 5-year strategic plan, but we recognize some revisions need to happen because things like AI and other initiatives that we've embarked on are not embedded into that strategic plan. Would another retreat at the end of the year be valuable where we revisit a version 1.1 draft of the 6 critical questions? This would be after we've obtained feedback from key interest groups to explore what change should look like and what metrics are we proposing, both from a parent and student perspective as well as board employee perspective. And then what other ideas does this group have in terms of collaboration around supporting our district and supporting your development as 3-term school board members?
So the answer to the coming back together as a group, I don't know whether it's end of the year. My view would be, it's worth doing that at milestones along the process, right? Not just necessarily then, and I would, yeah, I think as we're going through this process of looking at why we are here and what our goals are, we should be coming together regularly to review that or what the next steps are and how we facilitate.
I agree. So my task to this group is reflect on sort of the questions, what you feel you have the capacity to do over the next couple of months, and maybe we'll look to schedule a retreat in January-ish as sort of a middle of the year, and then look at something in the end is June. I anticipate this partnership with School Leadership Alliance to be multi-year. I value the work that they do as well as the conversation we were able to have as a group. And I've got some leaders going this weekend, myself included, to the Deloitte University campus in Texas, where we will continue with business chemistry and leadership development with superintendents and principals from all across the nation. So we'll be in Texas from Friday to Sunday. But I've been before, it's phenomenal. It's a great leadership experience, and just to network with others and to see that they might be in Tennessee, but they're experiencing the same struggles you are within the profession. And how are they navigating the difficult and challenging circumstances? Yes,
Do you think we could have representatives from the admin team and the executive leadership team at the January retreat, because they will have already met and gone over all these same issues? That might make it easier for us to.
and maybe it's a combination of
culture change.
executive leadership, building principles, and school board. So we're all speaking the same language.
And
And
not for the whole retreat, for part of it.
yeah, no, I like that idea.
I never.
Okay, any other questions on board retreat? Like I said, it was a great start. I found value in the day. We were able to have open and honest conversation. And really start to move the needle in the direction that this board wants to go.
Lori, can I call in here? To share with all of us what you said to Nick and I when we met. Just.
When we met at the retreat.
Oh, no, when we met for agenda planning, just your observation. You don't have to say if you don't want to.
I just said it was so nice that you all could come together and everybody had a voice and everybody felt heard. And it was felt like a functioning board. Everybody was valued and you felt like you could speak. And I thought that was really nice to see. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you, Lord.
Yes.
As I thought it was really valuable. Glad you did.
I've been ready.
Glad we got to the point where we could say.
Yes. And hopefully Jim, who's the former CEO of Deloitte, will join us at some point. He does live here in Park City, but still travels quite a bit. But he has great stories and is just a wealth of information, and brings a level of expertise. His mom was a teacher, but he has mostly lived in, the private sector with Deloitte. Yeah, he's a Park City resident.
And have you,
I met him last time I was in Texas, and then I met him at Chatbooks. Because School Leadership Alliance kind of uses Chatbooks as an office. I believe Jim's son founded Chatbooks, so there's a connection there. But they use that as an office space. I think board committees and that.
yes, we're gonna, I think, maybe one for the 5 o'clock. Sure, I'm sorry, yeah, let's hold that since we're already.
Yeah.
Do we have any public comment? Anybody signed up? The blue sheets. Anyone?
No blue sheets.
Ferris?
Okay.
Bueller? Well, then we will go to committee assignments. So we just wanted to, now that we've kind of got a little runway behind us, look at where we are with who's doing what with regards to the committees. Because it recently came up that we need somebody for the, policy, is that correct?
It would be great if we could find someone to take on.
And I mean,
It's a blast, I mean, it really is fun.
who doesn't want to serve on the policy? I mean, I'm just telling you if you don't understand.
Yeah, the timing is.
When is it?
When is it?
Tuesday
Tuesday before board meeting at 3:30.
No, just happens. So it's before board meetings or?
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
A week before.
A week before.
About it, roughly an hour. Sometimes we do not go an hour. More often than not, we're done before the hour.
Okay.
And we're meeting in person, but if you need a Zoom option, we can provide that. You do not, Kathleen's gonna serve on policy and worry.
Are we good to do this without Susan here?
So she let me know she would like to be on the superintendent's advisory committee
Okay.
as the board member. We can have up to 2 if someone else wants to join.
And because she's not here, we can volunteer.
We can.
This is what, this is
Oh, wow. That'll learn now.
Where is the superintendent advisory committee?
It is not on this one. It is a new one, just to create a feedback loop, so every school site has a parent. I've got employee group representation, and then some administrators, from both elementary and secondary. Once a month for about an hour. It's really, except for December, we're not meeting in December, because the schedule in December is just crazy. And September 30th, 3:30 to 4:30 is the first meeting.
And, what exactly does this committee cover?
Anything and everything, if the employee group has a concern, or they're hearing things out in the community, it's really an opportunity to give everyone a seat at the table and have conversations in person versus elsewhere, social media. Let's have face-to-face conversation and figure out how we can problem solve, together.
We don't have to, I don't have to throw you into this right now, but I do think it would be great if you joined the MTech board.
Oh, you don't wanna do that?
Well, I love to do it, but, well, no, it's only one, it's a single, but I just think because.
I would love
Which one?
that.
Okay, that would be Richmond and Tech.
And tech.
The Mountain Lands Technical Community.
That would be great.
I think your background and, you know.
I mean, you did it for a while.
I mean, you can bring me to like the parties and whatnot. I will be your gate to the food.
You're not gonna see.
And they do really
ID
through. There's all some good training that I'll be part of.
And I think that partnership will continue to strengthen, especially with the campus in Heber opening. Yes.
Wow, that would be great. I would be happy to do that.
And then,
I think that'll be it for me.
yeah, I mean, I know.
So are all these committees still active?
Well, that was
That's
actually a
what we
question.
just asked.
Yeah.
Is there anything here we don't?
The audit committee, yes, Randy leads that one, chamber,
I'm
yes, city, county, we're meeting with them quarterly at a breakfast. I am also, joining we call it Coffee with the Chiefs every
Oh, yeah,
Wednesday
that's good.
morning at the Park City Hospital, so Margaret Olson, county attorney, sheriff, chief, different public entities and their leadership come together and try to just, hey, what are you hearing? How can we work together? They do it every Wednesday at 8:30.
So the board leadership, Meredith and Nick, you attend those too?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then, just because, is one of us supposed to be meeting with the employee groups? Or we haven't?
Only when we start talking about the, LPA
Okay.
and the agreements with the classified groups, so usually late winter, early spring, yeah.
So there's
Insurance,
nothing outside.
no, I meet with them monthly, and we try to problem solve more often, I meet with them monthly.
Shirking my
No,
responsibilities.
no, you guys are good.
Or Nick wasn't.
Yeah.
Really, Nick, I told you.
Anytime there's certain responsibilities, let us know. We don't like that.
But yeah, that would just be early spring. Depending on what happens with 267.
Lori, can you send me an invite for the policy?
Yes,
meetings?
yep, and I'll give you access, we put everything in a Google Drive,
Okay.
the agendas and all the policies, yes.
And then just putting this, anyone is welcome to join me with JLC as well. That is, that's sort of a,
What is it?
the joint legislative.
It's usually
During the like
Friday.
legislative session and.
It's a party.
It's a party. It's that and the policy committee.
Be fine.
Yeah, right. So it's at Granite.
Yep.
Every Friday.
Friday during the session.
Wow.
So board members, BA, superintendents, representatives, all come together and talk about what position are we gonna take on this bill? Where are there problems within the language and try to get that feedback during the session.
Has the state office given out their position paper with theirs?
Not yet.
There was a meeting, is there anything?
I think we're waiting to see if they're gonna call a special session.
They were supposed to in September, and but was there a local JLC region? Was there a regional something?
meeting coming up.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
Thursday.
Thursday, yeah, so there is a regional meeting that they have periodically outside of the session. It is, I'm out of town. Where is it? Yeah, is it?
Wasatch School District.
If anybody would like to.
I won't be here, but in the future, I do want to join you in some of those, just to keep my head spinning like.
It's a party, yeah.
The JLC this year is gonna be the Senate building rather than Granite Street.
Well,
Yeah.
it's
Where is it at?
The Senate building.
Open the Senate Capitol.
That'll be more of a thing to get to.
Are they done with all the
Get there
construction up
early
there?
for a parking spot.
Yeah,
Yeah, get there early.
they do have a Zoom, but it's.
It's hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
Regional recreational master planning.
What is that?
Is that our local?
That is an old one that we
Okay.
had on
They
there.
take that out.
So should we pick it up and all?
You can take it out if you don't think we need it for anything, we're doing here this book.
So we will towards the 26th. Thursday, represent us from down in ILA, right?
Yeah.
At the building, there's somewhere to work on that involved.
Okay.
That's something.
Let's either note that on there or take it off and just. leave the
Maybe
same.
we will add it back on and then it's interlocal agreements or something that it's.
Well, do you not talk about all of that when you meet your city county government?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
We do.
Yeah.
So I mean,
And that's a new thing.
But then we also will have offline conversations based in, similar to what we did with the Highview Ranch, and that property and the easement there. So sometimes it's formal, sometimes it's informal. Interlocal agreement will come up, especially once these fields are done.
Mhm.
And so right now, it's not crucial that we're having those conversations, but it will once the.
And so we get the, Susan is meeting with you, Randy, for the insurance.
Yeah, so I'll include her in that. Yeah, we meet in the spring a couple times. So I'll probably bring her in. I'll meet with GBS, Mary Ann and I before we have that meeting. And I'll include Susan in that, yeah. So,
And then student on the board, that's a duty I have been shirking. I've been delinquent.
Do you want me to, so I'm going to their meetings quarterly, or class meetings, I should say quarterly, I can add you to those invites and go together.
Please.
Okay. I think the first one's next
Can you
month.
send it to all of us and then whoever?
Yeah,
Yeah,
To join,
that would be great.
Yeah, I'll send that
to.
Lila, do you want to invite?
And we'll just make sure
all
it's
school board
two.
members, because I think you're the owner of the calendar invite.
Yeah,
And
then
let me
make
know if
sure
you
that
need email
one
addresses,
fills
I
us
can send them
offended.
to you.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. It's interesting, last year we had conversations about yonder pouches, if they come to the high school, what does that look like?
I'm getting dagger eyes.
And then just what's happening in the high school, where are their areas of concern, how can we partner better? It's interesting, we'll get to see their new space. They have phenomenal new space with storage in the back, and you're not having to run all over the high school to find their decorations and then the minor costume. So yeah.
It's an upgrade.
Yes.
Yeah, well, honor two of us will be. Thanks. Okay, is that everything?
So,
I think
What
so.
about the?
No, that's some other things up there. Can we go?
Audit, chamber, city government, insurance, JLC.
PCE.
Yeah,
So the employee groups, that is on there, it's a monthly meeting.
and that's what I asked her
Yeah.
earlier, about we're not,
you guys are welcome to come if you want.
I mean, do they want us there? Or, I don't know.
It's
Employees.
up to have you. If you guys are up to join that.
Yeah.
So it's the Friday before board meetings at 3. We'll add you guys.
Yeah.
To those invites.
Yeah, it's just, I just don't want to try to attend one thing.
EIG and PCCEA is usually at 11. And we do those on Zoom because we have some bus drivers who are part of that and they're just.
It's. I'll add you to the calendar invite and then I'll share the document with you that has the agenda.
And what else do we have? So.
Usually communications, I don't know, do you know Lori?
Well, we were gonna
Yeah.
get to talk about communications generally. You
That was
just
for the
like.
radio, I think. I think that was why that was put on there, that it could be a rotating basis who goes on the radio, but I don't know.
We might like to go on Thursday,
Talking Thursday at 8:30. ABCW.
That meeting you.
It's an open invitation.
I think it's Malta.
I did go.
I can make it work.
Okay. Nick and I will go
along, where you guys. Do we need to keep the nutrition task force on here? Do we want to develop it some way? What direction?
I'll talk with, Amy Campbell and John. Amy Campbell's overseeing child nutrition, and I do think we should bring it back, I mean, and decide,
I think we need to get some committee from parents and students and.
Do you want some of
That used to be.
Do you want some of community gardens? Cause I know she's entering it.
And the pantry
Yes.
and all of, so that it's all one.
Okay.
And from the child nutrition department.
So I will get Amy Kimmel on that.
So the other one was back to superintendent's advisory committee, you said you got Susan.
I've got Susan, we can have another, it's up to you guys.
Can you add me, in? I don't know how many I'll be
Yes.
able to attend, but I'd love to attend.
Okay. I think that covers them all. Is there anything we're missing, an area you guys feel like we need? Anybody can? You know, one more to do. I agree. And there will be more that come online that I'll ask you guys to join as we look at DLI, at the elementary. That will be a much bigger group than just me, but board members, parents, teachers, and principals, just talking about what is our next evolution of DLI. We've had it in place for 10+ years. We haven't really tweaked or refined the program. There are some unintended consequences that maybe we weren't thoughtful about on the front end of implementation, and how can we improve the program?
And when will you be addressing all this?
January?
And your step back?
Sometime.
Yeah. Want to have, what is your thoughts on what, when you
Yeah,
want it next?
You know, I
year, the
think-
following year?
starting to form it in January, early 2026, with a school year of really studying and evaluating what are we doing, what are other school districts doing, because this problem's not unique to us. We're not the only school district that is experiencing these challenges. And what is our next step? You know, I don't foresee DLI going away, but I do see some refinements to the way in which we're currently operating. We can't continue to have our traditional classes with 70% of the students being at risk. That's never So putting a plan together, starting to push it out in January, likely forming committees or task forces next school year to really study it and come up with, if we're going to make changes, what are those changes and what's the timeline?
Okay. Cause I don't know, other districts that have all their elementaries on.
You know, I speak for Wasatch as a parent. They have a language, it's Spanish, and they're bigger than us. I think it's very rare that you're gonna see a school district of our size have 2 languages.
Do they have it in every elementary school?
It is in every elementary school. They start in kindergarten, not first grade. Which I think
But
it
none
was,
of them are fully DLI.
no.
And have they had the same issue with disproportionate?
That I don't know, I can ask, to see what their
Mhm.
traditional compared to their DLI. What's only, not only the disproportionality in student demographic, but also class size.
That's right.
Yeah,
It's really different.
because believe it or not, we had some classes of 10. It-
Some good one-on-one teaching.
Somebody gets that.
It'd be good to assume they have
Exactly.
experienced some of the same challenges, right? It would be good to have some information sharing and just understand how to
Yeah.
address them.
So that will be a big lift. I refer to it as the elementary realignment. We're done with secondary and settling into it, and elementary is next, and really looking at what do we want the student experience to be pre-K to 5.
Don't worry about that tonight. All right, so we're ready for
I think we're ready.
cool with this. So, now we're moving on to the consent agenda, which includes regular session meeting minutes of August 19th, the special session, the board retreat minutes of August 29th. Travel request, LEA specific licensed employees, approval of standing purchase orders, approval of emergency procurement, personnel, check registers of August 2025, board revenue and expenditures of August 2025. Can I get a motion to approve the consent?
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda as written.
Well, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, we've already solicited that. And now we will have the monthly reports on professional groups. Or actually, we're starting with student on the board, sorry. Pardon me. Hey, it on, how's school going?
This week is very busy because it is homecoming week. We have fun spirit days, every day this week, including PJs yesterday for the ACT. We wanted to be comfortable. Today was country versus country club. Tomorrow.
Which one are you in?
I try my best. Tomorrow is emo day, and then we have Jersey versus Jersey Shore. And then Friday is our homecoming t-shirts, if anyone should come wearing those, which we get tomorrow in class. And we also have fun activities after school this week. Last night we had a movie night on Dozier. It was super fun.
What movie is it?
It was Little Giants. And then tonight we have Powder Puff. Tomorrow is Buff. And then we have the bonfire. And then it's the tailgate, with the game afterwards. And then, oh no. That'll be fun. And then, this week, homecoming ticket prices are regular, they're no longer discounted, so 40 is a single and 55 is a double, and those will only go up at the door if you don't purchase. And then that is pretty much everything homecoming related. We also have made a donation to the National Ability Center of $500 from Water Wars conference from last year. And then we have also officially launched the fall fundraiser, which this year is Souls for Souls, which we collect shoes and clothes and items of those sorts to give to people who do not have the resources to get them for themselves. So I really encourage everyone to donate.
Awesome, thank you. Who won Water Wars?
His name is Nate Ginger. I hope I'm pronouncing it.
And are you gonna be Jersey or Jersey Shore?
Jersey.
What Jersey?
Bengals.
Bengals. Okay, then we got our employee groups.
Jensen?
Hi. I'm just gonna read a prepared statement, because I'm nervous. Good evening, my name is Jason Jensen. I'm the new Secretary Treasurer, Florida Park City Classified Employees Association. And I'm glad to be here tonight, and to share a few updates from our educational support professionals. To be frank, some of our SPAs are feeling a strain from a limited summer. Clerical staff have been busy registering new students, maintenance teams have been working on finishing the project of treasure, and custodian, para educators, and transportation staff have been busy supporting the summer school programs. Now, even with all those challenges, our ESPs are feeling very positive and really excited to do their very best for this new school year. We just had our very first PCSD board meeting last week. And for the first time ever, we have experienced voices representing all 7 of our job families. So we're very excited about that. Local leaders also took the opportunity to take part in a training over last weekend down in Salt Lake and gain valuable tools to better support ESPs up here in Brook City. At the state level, USEA board members and staff are working closely with our representatives to advocate for Utah's ESPs. And we're grateful to be a part of the Superintendent's Advisory Council, which helps strengthen our connection to the district. So while there has been a lot of changes and a lot going on for all of us, we are really excited and hitting the ground running for this great school year.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm just trying to do my best to help.
Okay, well, mine's short and sweet. I wanna go piggyback off of him. I do appreciate the superintendent advisory committee, so thank you for that. Really, no news is good news. I'm with PCEA. We haven't had any issues with the alignment. Everything's been really positive. Teachers are starting to get into their routines and getting into the groove with all the new curriculum and new leadership. We just want to say, in light of all the recent shootings and stuff on school grounds, we are very grateful for the support that Park City School District gives students and staff with resource officers, social workers, school counselors. So thank you. We do really appreciate it. I also saw the policy for the recording of meetings, and we are very supportive of that as well, so thank you. But no news is good news, off to a good start, and we do also support not starting on Monday. I was the longest week ever, and every year teachers are wanting more days at the beginning of the year that are uninterrupted to get ready for their class meetings, so
Yeah.
thank you for that as well.
Do you want to introduce yourself, Jen?
I'm done, right? Sorry.
Where do you teach at?
I'm Jeremy Ranch, fourth grade, traditional. STEM side, so the other side of the DLI.
Yes.
So I know exactly what she's talking about. Yeah, so thank you guys very much.
Yeah. Thanks, Jen. Hey, we're thriving with 1 month of school behind us and a few more to go. Just a few. Mission and vision, I'm not gonna read this to the group. What I am gonna do is highlight what I feel is an accomplishment that embodies all of these pillars that are highlighted here. We received an email yesterday from USBE saying that we had the highest percentage of our MLL students in the state meeting their individual annual growth goals. So huge celebration. Carolyn and her team have worked hard. And we will continue to work towards that goal. Our goal is that 80% of our MLL students are reaching English language proficiency after being with us for 5 years. So they take that test in first grade. Our hope is that they have exited LEDA, moved into the monitored status by the time they're at the Hill. So that is our goal with our MLL students. Next slide, just highlighting a couple of things that have transpired during the first month of school. Our architecture and construction students spent the day at Sunrec High Adventure Base. It's in between Camas and Evanston. They chopped firewood, they refinished structures, and they built tent platforms. So Brad Gannon and Jordan Ulrich took a group of students up there as part of architecture and construction, talk about hands-on real world learning. This exemplifies that, and you can see that in those first two pictures. Preschoolers down there to the right, participating in yoga with Randy Joe. Cutest thing, just really teaching them how to breathe, do some yoga. This is the first year that we've been able to do that. Thanks to Missy Shawburn for help facilitating that and coordinating that with preschool teachers. The shark outfits. They do this thing in Poland called book tasting. So students rotate through tables of text that they're going to use throughout the module in ELA. And they typically spend a few minutes at each table examining the cover, the illustrations, and the first few pages of the book while enjoying a treat or food, of course, that correlates with that particular book. And it's really to get them excited about the next module in ELA. That bottom weird corner with the mountains in the background, that's our girls flag football team. Inaugural season, they had their first game last night. We have 2 teams. Unfortunately, they lost. They play at home next week. So if you're not busy next week, they will play on Dozier. I believe it's on Monday nights, and they are late games. I want to say like 7:30 and 8:45.
Wow.
Yes, but we don't have school on Tuesday, so. And then you see the flag ceremony there at McPullen commemorating 9/11. We had city council member Ryan Vicky speak a few words to our students about kindness. We did the Pledge of Allegiance, and then the kids sang the school song in both English and Spanish. It was very cute. The kids were extremely respectful and engaged for the entire 30 minutes during the ceremony. Academic success, we had 7 national merit semifinalists at the high school that we recognized last week. That is the most, we're tying the most we've had, so 7 is kind of the number we've been trying to beat. To be eligible, they must take the PSAT during their junior year of high school, and they must achieve a score within the top 1% of test takers in the state of Utah. Counselors will continue to guide the semifinalists through the process as they advance to the finalist stage. Finalists will be announced in February, and then the actual scholarship winners are announced in April.
Top 1%.
Top 1% of the state. Again, highlighting Joanna, featured next to her is our jazz band was invited to play that night at the banquet. So she had 4 of those 5 students in class. So very special moment for her to celebrate with students at the banquet that night. Again, just highlighting the McPullen flag ceremony, but also want to highlight Randy and his team for receiving the Meritorious Budget Award again for 25-26. This reflects our commitment to sound fiscal management and budgetary practice. This morning, we hosted our first superintendent conversation at Blair from 8:30 to 9:30. It's really an opportunity for community members to come in, ask questions. This morning, we reviewed some data points as well as talked about safety and security of our school, educated a couple of parents on what Zero Eyes was, the AI weapon detection system that is installed at all of our campuses and what it can do for us to enhance our safety on each of our campuses. And it's really just a space to have open dialogue, and it creates a feedback loop for all of our interest groups. There's an article in Town Lift this afternoon, kind of highlighting the different topics that we discussed during that hour.
When are that upcoming?
So we'll host, so we're gonna do it 2 times a quarter. One will be in the morning. We're actually gonna change the start time to 9 so we can accommodate parents who have kids at Edgar Hill, knowing that school starts at 8:40. So 9 to 10, and then tomorrow at 6:30 to 7:30 at the McPullen Community Center. So trying to capture working families, or just making sure there's 2 spaces for people to be able to come if they want. And we'll have different topics at each session. The open house for phase 1 and phase 2 is scheduled for Thursday, October 9th at 5. The reason we chose that date, there's a home football game and a home volleyball game. We want to maximize attendance and show off the incredible spaces at the high school. So we'll do a quick ceremony with MHTN, Hogan, and talk about the design process, the construction, the need, the why. And then also open the doors to not only the new section at the high school, but also the CTE wing, because I believe many of our community members have not seen that, and it is, biased opinion, a great space for our kiddos.
Can I ask, sorry, Ingrid, and did we decide to do something that afternoon as well during the school day, or are we just during the evening?
Yeah, just during.
Are any this might be back to you, are any students able to come?
Yes, we're gonna talk to some of our student leadership groups to get tours, as well as, much like we did at last year's open house, have them demo some of the equipment. So it's not just sitting there. Families and parents and community members can actually see it in use.
We'll push that outward to our chamber.
Yes. Okay. Again, community alliances, this week is Coffee Camper. Ed Foundation is sponsoring that. So Lucky Ones takes their coffee camper to each of our school sites and is there for approximately 2 hours. Our staff can come out, get coffee, hot chocolate, and treats. Just a way for the Ed Foundation to show appreciation to our staff and the incredible work they do. This was today over at Eckerd Hill. Live Like Sam, another community partner, their gala is coming up next Saturday, September 27th. 2 programs I feel strongly about that some of our students have been able to participate in is Thrive, which is offered to grades 6 through 12. It's evidence-based preventative mental health initiative that empowers and strengthens youth well-being. Another one being digital wellness, grades 4 through 12. It's designed to give youth the tools they need to navigate social media and their digital lives in a healthy and empowered way. So I'd encourage you, if you can, participate. They've been a great partner, both in our after-school program as well as during the school day. And after last week, I sent an email out to our staff. This only went out internally, but I would share it with this group. This past week has brought challenges and emotions for many of us. I want to take a moment to thank you for showing up each day with care for our students as well as one another. Even when we don't share the same perspectives, we can always choose kindness and respect. The way we respond to these moments shapes the tones of our schools and strengthens our community. And really just challenging our staff to model appropriate adult behavior. Even when we share different perspectives, we can still choose kindness and show up and hear the other side. And with that, any questions? Yes, I did get some coffee while I was out at Eckerd this afternoon.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so now we have the policies for posting. The following policies have been reviewed by the policy committee. And they are now for the board for posting. We have policy 1007 environmental regulation plan, policy 3013 bullying and cyberbullying, policy 3014 recording of meetings. This is a new policy. Policy 5005 building access and security, policy 7021 clothing allowance, which is also a new policy, and policy 9065 volunteers in the schools.
I make a motion to approve policies for posting, as stated.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Then we have the following policy for adoption. This has been posted for the required 20 days, and this policy is now before the board for adoption. It is policy 10090, the prohibition of corporal punishment.
I make a motion to approve the policy for prohibition for the.
Second. On favor?
We need to get the,
Oh, are there any,
I haven't received
any
any
discussion, any? No. All in favor? Aye.
I'm also in favor of Jen.
Didn't have one of me. Okay. So now that we covered all of our agenda items, may I get a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn until our next regularly scheduled session.
In our second, third.
October.
Aye. 15. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.